Exciting LinkedIn Live. I just want to tell you, yesterday was record setting. I can't thank everybody enough who showed up, and more than showing up, participated. I just want everybody to know live chat is on. I mean, the people and the internet interactions yesterday were incredible. And what was incredible, and I give full credit to, was having Gretchen Skelka on yesterday. And by popular demand, Gretchen's back in the house today. Gretchen, what were your thoughts about yesterday and what we're doing here?
I loved it. And I think it goes right into your topic today. I was so excited when you shared it with me, share, learn, and connect, because the people who were in the audience yesterday were doing exactly that. They were connecting with each other. They were connecting to help each other, to learn from each other. And there were so many people in the comment section who I've learned so much from, like Trevor, like Melissa Houston. I mean, Aya. I mean, there are just so many great people that showed up yesterday. And I think that they brought value to other people in the actually, I don't think it, I know it. I saw it happening live. They were problem solving for each other and just basically saying, reach out, I'm here. I want to help you. It made me so happy. I think it's one of the most wonderful things about a social platform like this, and this vehicle, live video particularly, because it can not only just introduce you to people, like really introduce you, not a cold pitch DM or some email that you don't even know is getting seen, but really introduce people. They can see you. They can know, we're not perfect. This isn't scripted. This is just us talking, but they get that real feel for you. They can, try you on, and that way, if they know you're somebody who they really want to connect with, learn from, and share with other people. Sharing your connections with other people is one of the best things you can do for yourself, but also for them. Just matching people up, like yesterday in the comments, we had it was 3 children's book writers. There was one lady who does it full time, and then 2 who wanted to, and they hooked up with each other. And now there are going to be some really great, I know, kids books coming out. And I just think that is really special. I don't think you can get that a lot of places. I haven't seen it anyway.
And it's all new to me, even though I've been doing this every day for 70 days. I mean, or actually every day for 7 months. That's even bigger than 70 days. Going on, maybe it's 8. I forget. I just do it every day, and I love it so much. And yesterday really was so gratifying because I really believe me and Gretchen helped so many people get off center, see a new context or perspective, find a new friend and connection, build conversations. I mean, if we can stir up enough activity for enough people in a positive way and show that just by attending, supporting, and promoting the show supports and promotes you, because I was telling Gretchen is, every week I'm doing a newsletter and I'm including all the people who include the best comments, bringing more people on the show, talking about open mic this week with Tara Gooch. But let me run through really quickly, because this is the heart of the show, is people who are showing up. Kathleen, thank you so much. Good morning to you. Mrs. Maria Asara, thank you so much.
Nigeria.
Kathleen, most wonderful things about. Paul's here. I know Paul pretty well. Hope you both are having an awesome Monday. Talk to Paul. These people, honestly, are some of the best people you should start using this time to connect with, getting to know, learning from, helping others. Thank you so much, Paul. Kathleen, okay. Paul's got a supporter already. Let me see. Okay, good evening from Nigeria. Thank you so much. And this is so universal, a lot of what we're doing, because all we're saying is step on up, introduce yourself. And, everybody here has a question they woke up today with. Wouldn't it be great to have an answer before you left here, or have an indication of somebody who might have some advice for you or support? This is the way to break free. What I found, everybody I'm working with now on LinkedIn Live takes so much precedent over all the legacy stuff I did and accumulated, but was so fortunate to learn from. Gretchen, I know you've got something to say about that.
I I was just going to say, a minute ago, you said something that really kind of, I was like, heck yeah, because you were talking about, getting a question answered. Did you have one that you woke up with? And this is one of the things I loved about yesterday's conversation is that the two of us we're on video, but there were answers being given in the comments. Like that chat was on fire yesterday. And I just loved it because you can get answers just by showing up and listening and watching. And it may not come from me or you, but it was coming from people in the comments. And I just thought that was brilliant and so helpful for people. And, I've been on some of those before. Again, like I was telling you, Melissa Houston has her Saturday morning coffee chat with Melissa, where they do that and they talk about all kinds of issues and problem solve for people. And that was happening yesterday in your chat. I just think this is great. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that because I think when it comes to having resources that can help you figure things out, whatever it is for you that day, this is a great one. It really is a great format for that.
And you know what it does for me and Gretchen? It really showcases our ability to facilitate and collaborate with individuals for better good. So we're not here selling anything. We're not promoting anything because, to be honest with you, this is the thing, and you are the most important part of the thing. And what we're trying to do is build community, build value, show someone, like I say, the path to success on LinkedIn, because it's really return on time investment. And I want to thank Mario for coming today. Actually, I'm talking to Mario when this show is over. Mario's just do you know Mario, Gretchen?
No, I'm laughing because Carrie is here. I see him, but he's a LinkedIn user, but I know that's him because the joke. So yes, Carrie, his jokes, they're so funny.
Well, welcome, Carrie. So yeah, Mario's a great guy. He's out in Marseille, France, and he does some fantastic international things and the most gregarious, happiest guy you'd ever want to meet. So check out Mario. And hoping to get Mario on as a co-host. So thank you for being here, Mario. Look forward to talking with you in a little bit. Carrie, we talked about.
I see actually that Kathleen is reaching out to Paul right now in the chat because she's having a challenge with a bank. And Paul is a financial, he's a financial coach, advisor, he does it all. And that, again, that's another example of what happened yesterday where people hopefully can get together and, and help work with each other and solve some problems. So yeah, I think that's wonderful. Yeah, that is a superpower, Carrie. Yes. Your ability to get people to laugh it is. People need that. People need it. Take that moment to just separate yourself from whatever the stress is. And laughing is, that's why it's a cliche. Laughter is the best medicine because it really is very helpful. So that is a service that you're doing for other people. Don't stop.
Well, thank you, Mario, for thanking me and thanking everybody. And, this is proof positive that it's all what we make it, right? LinkedIn Live gives this opportunity. It's like a stage, right? And what do you want to put on the stage? And if it's about everybody else, it really becomes about you later on because of your ability to share what you can do with people without obligation, without cost, without risk. Right now, real fast, Ronald Henderson is here. Ronald's just a great guy also. I'll tell you one thing about LinkedIn Lives. They attract people who are in the now, who want to be relevant, who want to share, have as much interest in giving and hopefully more than getting, and know that that's the way to get in the measure and the type of return that's aligned with what you're hoping for, right? Not potluck, not make the best of it. The thing is one should start with a fresh new deck, bring all the cards in, not only deal yourself a hand, but choose your hand. Don't expect luck to take over for you. And then choose your people. There's a saying, you never want to be the smartest person in the room, So always attract yourself to people you can learn from. And I also say, it's never what you make, it's who you become, So anyways, to run through this real quick, Paul, I'd be happy to have a conversation. You never know what you don't know. But I do know one thing. If you don't do anything, you can't really expect to get anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the action and it's the courage, that isn't too courageous after you do it for a while, but it
Yeah.
also says if I was concerned about this and it wasn't a concern, what's my next maybe unnecessary concern?
I'm
13
curious. I'm
Okay, go ahead.
curious if Kathleen's, oh my God, because she was just like, oh my gosh. I'm curious if that is in response to Carrie's almost being a year without caffeine. Um, sorry, thanks, babe. I'm wondering if that's in response to that, because that's a huge milestone to go a year. He's 13 days away, 2 weeks away from a year without caffeine. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and
Hello,
the
iced
other thing
coffee.
is being open and you know to sharing, right? To sharing things that were important to you and show character, show perseverance. Like we talked about yesterday, it's not how many times you fall down, it's how fast you get up,
Yeah.
right? And start moving again. I mean,
Yeah.
activity solves almost everything.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. Here, I got on my mini late. I'm happy I jumped on, really depleted right now and wallowing in self-pity, but I know I need to focus on helping someone else to feel better. Funny how that works every time. You are so right, Christine. Thanks for sharing that. And when you're involved with something bigger than yourself, you start to not worry so much about yourself. And when you see what others have to deal with in relationship to sometimes what you're dealing with, you wonder, why are you feeling bad? You
I think
know?
that I
Go
think
ahead.
though too, that shift in perspective. So Christine, whatever's happening, I mean, I do hope that, this, and I'm glad that you're here, that in some way that this is helpful for you. You know, feeling depleted, that's also can be a sign of burnout. It could be very much that you're moving in so many directions and doing for so many people that maybe you're not filling your own cup back up, and that can be lead to a feeling of depletion. But self-pity, that is something that definitely deserves some conversation. But again, you're showing up for other people just by being here, so there's nothing that deserves a pat on the back right there, because that is not something that everybody just naturally thinks to do, especially when they're already feeling challenged emotionally like that. So I think you should be like really proud of yourself, that's what I mean. Your last sentence says it all. I need to focus on helping someone else. That change of perspective, that being able to pull back a little bit from whatever the current situation is, the current challenge is, then when you come back to it, you'll have a different perspective, simply because you're coming at it from a different angle, a different time, a different day, with different experiences that, cushion the time between what you're feeling now and what you'll feel then. So, and then you could take maybe a different inventory of it. But I do think you should give yourself a pat on the back, that it is your first inclination to do for other people, but also do for yourself, because that sense of depletion can definitely be a game changer, and not always in a great way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so important. What Gretchen just said, Christine. And the key thing is being aware, and that's 90% of the battle, right? Once you know you have something, now you know you have what it is you need to work with. But that saying we talked about yesterday again was, if you can't do it, could we? And leaning on somebody
Yeah.
and asking for help, is really in some ways, the way it's brought up, let's say, an honor. How many times in your life do you have a chance to really help somebody just by being with somebody, sharing things together, and understanding that it's one day at a time? People get overwhelmed and they start projecting into the future. When I became a vegan for 18 months, which was kind of interesting, you know, but you know how I did it? One meal at a time, and if I would have said it's going to be 18 months, I could have never done it, but
Yeah.
if you just take something that you should change and you can't, it's a call to reach out to someone on the show who is compassionate to what you're into. And most people who will help you have been through what you're into. And that's why they're willing to help, because they're just sharing what they already paid for. Here's There's so much strength and vulnerability, Christine. Helping people has always been my antidote. Acknowledging your emotions. It's so true, Paul. And Paul's a great guy. And, that's somebody you should use as a foundation to whatever you would do with Paul. Just knowing where he's coming from.
Yeah.
When there is no marketing, sales, or transaction, but just sincere ability to help.
And if you know Paul's story, you know that it's like that's exactly what he does. It's all about helping other people. His story is really interesting. So I definitely he is coming from the most sincere and authentic place. And so I think that little that helpful partnership, I'm not sure what to call it, but whatever he's helping Kathleen with, I think that she will benefit. He's just got great insight, and he just knows stuff. And when it comes to finances, it's kind of like, I think of it as like this mystical world I have no knowledge in, and I need to clean off the crystal ball because I really can't navigate my way through that. That's why I appreciate people like Paul who get it and who can break it down for people and really help them with those challenges and figure out where their sources, of remedy are going to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the key is one step at a time, really getting in. And we talked about this for a whole episode, myself and Gretchen, which is mindset. Which is so important to everything.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Go ahead, Gretchen.
I wanted to say, I just read Christine's latest comment. I want to say, wow, Christine. So Christine, that is amazing. I mean, she has been a vegetarian for over 20 years, alcohol free for over 2. So that is a huge, huge accomplishment. But let's take that back to the fact that, she's, there's graduate school. I'm seeing children. I'm seeing managing schedules for her children, reaching out to a friend in need. So she's also being support. She's taking care of her family and other people. It's no wonder you feel a little bit depleted, because again, you've got to be able to, and yes, take that break for yourself. That's not being selfish. When you're the main thing, and I've said this to my sister, my little sister takes care of our dad. She and her husband live with my dad and have taken care of him. She has since our mom passed away. And she has to take care of herself because without her, nothing works. It just doesn't. I mean, I've been there and helped out, and she has it running like a machine, and she is central to that. So Christine, you are central to so many people. You have to take care of yourself for that. I mean, without you, it won't work the way that you need it to, that they need it to. You wouldn't be there to give that support to them. But you also need to get that for yourself. And so however you need to do that for yourself, definitely think about that. I'm glad that that you have today off, that you're taking advantage of the US holiday and that you're doing that because, go for a walk, take 5 quiet minutes. I do my 7 quiet minutes every morning. Every morning I start my day that way with meditation. I tell my husband, I'm doing my 7 minutes. Don't bother me. Let me do it. But whatever you need to do, you have to be able to do that. And it's not being selfish. It's actually being extremely responsible because it benefits you and everybody else. It's a ripple. It starts the ripple of your day. So congratulations to you. Good for you for doing it.
Yeah. And thanks for giving us the opportunity to do what we can to help in any way we can. And you found and decided to take this action today to join, this broadcast and be open. And I think because I know you're a consistent part of the audience and contributor, which I sure appreciate, this is a platform where you can bring your questions. And, we feel better knowing we could do something to help people directly while we're on, as well as the benefits that can be derived after it posts. So, want to really encourage everybody else to be courageous, be brave, take that step. Go ahead.
Kevin Kelly, Zen calligraphy. I'm Googling that because I don't know what Zen calligraphy is, but I've tried to practice calligraphy for years and it's awful. I like to paint, but calligraphy is a very different thing. And I think of myself as being pretty creative, but not when it comes to that. That is a goal I've had for a long time. My handwriting is terrible. I always joke that I should have been a doctor. My handwriting is so bad. You know how theirs is terrible on the prescription. That is amazing. Zen calligraphy. I got to look that up.
Yeah. And, it's just fascinating what people are into. And you would never know without, a knowledge share that takes place here.
Yeah.
But really an opportunity to get to see people in a comfortable, informal, unplanned session, that can go any direction that the audience chooses or any individual in the audience chooses to direct. And when you look at what the time you spend marketing yourself, right, and the results you get when you can plug into something that's already going to get that exposure and give you third-party validation and benefit of association, that's what I see is, how do you break free? How do you get out of the mob? How do you elevate? How do you bring a bunch of people with you who then can bring a bunch of people with them? And everybody ratchets up together. And, there's no reason where if it's good for you, it's good for millions of people like you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, and we have a sub thread going of all the people who have, been alcohol free or caffeine free for a lot of years. And Kathleen just, mentioned hers as well. I just think that is so incredible. And then Paul has a question. I'm curious what you're being that it's Mindset Monday. Okay. Most people are living conveniently intentionally. Sorry, it's cutting off on the side. So I'm trying to guess the next word, but Don just put it on the screen for me. It's Mindset Monday. Do you think most people are living conveniently instead of intentionally? It's a really good question. I can't speak for most people, but I do think that there is a little bit of an ease of living conveniently, meaning we live in a very immediate society, right? I mean, I can, touch my phone and have food here, or a product here, and food here in an hour, product here in 2 days from Amazon, where patience really isn't something that we need to practice. Now, people do, but by and large, we don't need to. But living intentionally, that's a whole different thing. So, convenience, you can live intentionally conveniently.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking about how you spend your day and what that looks like. But it's that intentionality. And I think that's a very good word to pair with mindset, because mindset is, being very intentional about how you show up, how you are, how you exist. It's not just how you live your day-to-day life, although on the other hand, it is how you live your day-to-day life, because it's everything you're doing all along the day. So I think you can have convenient intentionality. I really do. I just think it depends on the person. And then if they are mindful about how they go about their day. A lot of people, Paul, and I'm sure that you know a lot of people and probably have a lot of clients who come to you because the day they're living today is the same one they lived yesterday or last year, which is why the problems they have last year are still the ones they have today, because there's not an intentional focus on moving the needle on that, right? Getting to the next goal. So I think it's a great question. I think that it could be a little both in that regard. Yeah. What do you think, Paul? Do you think people are living conveniently or intentionally? I would love to know what you think about that.
And that's the key is,
it's such a great question.
We're curious, and a lot of times we're better at questions than answers. So, we like to shed or share as much responsibility with everybody else and be on pretty equal footing and learn more. And hopefully this interests people because of your interest, and that should attract people to want to reach out and learn more about you, because the things you do, there's a lot of people who do the same things, but they're not the same people as you, and they don't take the same approach as you. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's why, there's a saying, stories sell, facts tell. And nobody really cares facts and numbers. They just want to know your story, because people learn so much more from your story than you telling them about their story. It's a little too intrusive, and a lot of people aren't ready. And a lot of people don't want to change. Go ahead, Gretchen.
I think a lot of people, the thing about telling your story and letting other people tell theirs is because we can all see parts of ourselves in each other. So there's that unifying thread that we all have. We don't always know what that thread is until we get to know each other. That goes back to your whole topic of today, share, learn, and connect. when you're connecting with people and you're learning about them, you are identifying those things that, I mean, we can say what we have in common, which is a very, universal way of saying that's that common thread, that shared experience that you have in some way that you only know through connection, through getting to know each other. And then when you do, I'm not just a little circle on my profile, and I'm not just somebody who, if you have me on mute, is doing a lot of stuff with her hands on the screen. You actually know me, same with you, Dawn, same. I mean, Paul, I got to know Paul, a little bit, and got to know his story, and got to know, especially because, I have a referral network with other coaches, and I am not a financial coach. You will not get me talk about numbers, but he is. And the reason that he does it and how he does it and what he brings to it is all because of his story. And when you get to know that, you want to work with him because you understand why he is so good at what he does, why it's natural for him to be doing what he does. Yeah. So I just love that's, I just love the topic today. Story.
Yeah. Well, Christine,
I'm reading. Yeah.
I agree. Stories matter even in a saturated market. Everyone has unique gifts and perspectives that help them stand out. Meaningful connections have a ripple effect. And I think the key words are stand out.
Yeah.
Get up, be seen.
Yeah.
More importantly, be heard for who you want people to hear you for today. Too many people's profile tells you about their wins and losses from yesterday, but it's really where are you today and where you're going. Where you've been might have gotten you where you are. But I think that's the key. And the way to stand out is to stand out on stages where there's other people who bring big audiences. Early on LinkedIn, I found more success commenting than posting, because I would ride the wave of somebody that already had visibility and traffic and had it going, where if I just posted without audience, I'd have 2 replies, 1 reply, and eventually I'd reply myself out. I see you're laughing, Gretchen.
I'm sorry. I just think that's so funny because I mean, when I think of and I don't know how much of me is on screen. So if I go wide like this, but like your network, my network, but the thing is that it's still like you're very intentional about making sure that you reach out and connect with and learn from the people in your network. I think that's really important, regardless of the size of it. Who are the people that make it up,
Right.
So that is really important because for a lot of reasons, right? When you log on to LinkedIn and you see your feed, a lot of it is because of the people in your network that you've chosen to align yourself with and get to know and connect with, but also the things that you have sought out. So if you're seeing a lot of something in your feed, but you're not, a lot of it could be because of what you've already sought out, but that is feeding you what you've asked for. So I do this sometimes where I'm, every now and then I'll get like an outlier. Something will show up in my feed. I'm like, why was that there? I don't even know. And then I'll go back through and I'll try to think, well, was I looking for something along that line? Like, why is LinkedIn feeding this information to me? It's not from a person I know. It wasn't liked or commented on from a person that I know. So how did this show up here? And I go down that rabbit hole, but it's really interesting sometimes when I go back through what clearly was something that I was motivated by the day before or whatever that led that information to be presented to me. It's very interesting when you do that. Also when you change your profile up. I know you were just telling me before the show, you changed yours again today. And I think that's really important for people to remember that you can have dynamism in that profile. You can continue to do that and be very relevant in that way. And I think that's also really important for people to not let that go stagnant because, I mean, think of LinkedIn like a search engine, right? It's a connection place. It's a marketplace. It's a search engine. It's all kinds of different things. But when you think of it that way, you can begin to attract more of what it is that you're looking to get to intentionally by the way that you craft it. And then how you're connecting with other people. Where are you going? Like this event right here. I hope everybody is, connecting with the people in the audience. And I see that Paul just answered the question that we asked him. So I'm curious what his answer is. I think personally, convenience and life contradict. When I looked at the definition of convenience, it's the process of being easy and simple. Just using my experience, I think gratitude and appreciation comes from hardship. There's a quote I heard that says, okay, it's I don't know. Oh, I think we're getting to that one. We're moving it on. Sorry. I
Okay.
don't know if life gets easier to learn, hard to handle, better. It's cutting off on me, Paul, and I'm sorry if I can't read that whole quote. But I think that, if I'm getting the gist of it, yeah, I mean, gratitude and appreciation when you go through something, oh, is that it? No, I don't know if it'll put it through, but when you go through something, you go through an experience of hardship, something that tests you, something that, yeah, to your point, Paul, is not easy or convenient. It forces you to ask some questions. It forces you to do a reckoning, if you will, with what you really do value, what you really do think. And if you're going to skate through it or get through it, because those are two very different things. And, I mean, we all have ours. I don't need to do the laundry list of mine, but we all have those. And when you go through and you go through that, what Kathleen is going through right now, what everybody is going through something, Christine is going through something, everyone is, it forces you to, on a gut level, do that check. And, what is really important to me, and it'll usually come down to one of the big things, safety, not necessarily comfort, but safety, is a big one. Security is a big one. So what does that do for you? Of course, it's going to grow your sense of appreciation when you realize, here we go. Here's the quote. I don't know if life gets easier, but we learn to handle hard better. Carol Lawson. Yes, absolutely. When you go through those things, you grow from them. And I think that that's really important, not to shy away from the experience. And I did that for a while after the first of many, but I did that where I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that because it's too hard and I can't handle it. And what if it's going to what if this happens because of that? The fact that I'm doing video right now is a byproduct of saying, stop it to all of that, right? Because I did that for 13 years where everybody, my husband of 28 years now, my family, no video, no photography. It will not happen. And for 13 years, I gave the hand to all of that. I would not let anybody do it. And it robbed them of a lot of memories and a lot of opportunities, but I was scared of something on the other side of that. And so I had to face that fear. And like we said yesterday, just look it in the face and go, you know what? We're not doing this today. Today's the day we're going to change that. And what I've learned from going through all of that, and it took a long time for me to get it. But once I did, it really opened the door to so much growth for me. So yes, Paul, to that point, I think it's a beautiful point to remember. And I think it's something that particularly a couple people in the audience today are just the fact that you're here and you got to share that quote, that to me is, if we're going to talk like ROI, is like such a good thing for the people who showed up again today, because we all needed to hear that today. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Gretchen makes so many wonderful points and shares so many insights that can help so many people. And, Paul's now thinking, hey, need to do more on LinkedIn.
Yes,
See, it's really
Paul.
just turning the dial a little bit to the right or left to get in balance and, find a new foothold. Yeah. It's like climbing a mountain. It's like, okay, where do you want to start? How do you want to start? How do you want to transverse it? And more importantly, who do you want to share it with? You have an opportunity not only to build your opportunity, but to build a family to allow that opportunity to flourish. Because what you get if, let's say, 10 people are giving advice today, you're getting 10 times the knowledge share, right? From people that you would have never met or got to know. That could be the seed that really blossoms into something that's beyond your expectation. Wouldn't it be great to be overwhelmed with surprise positive things?
Yeah. Well, and I would encourage you, Paul, because I've been on a couple of live calls with you, and I think that you have great insight, and I think that it would be a tremendous value for people if you did start doing live or just more video in general, because it's it's a more portable way, if you want to say that, way to get information out there. Because as Stephen Eng was talking about in a post this morning, people aren't reading as much. So what can we do to help them do that? But on the other side of that, we still have to get the message out. So do your post, maybe do a video compliment to them, because that is, and it also helps people get to know you, and you're so charming. So yes, more video, Paul.
Yeah, well, you can't beat it because LinkedIn promotes you. They post for you. They bring audience to you. Christine, you can probably
She
address
is
that
all
question.
over the place. Oh my gosh. So she's also, in addition to being mom and helping her friend, doing all this, supporting everybody, she's also starting her master's program. Okay, so yes, you're being stretched but learning so much. So that, again, that feeling of depletion that you talked about when we first started talking on this live, and even helping you with your career or starting your own business. So there's a lot going on for you. There's a lot going on for you, Christine. One, celebrate that. You are clearly somebody who's not afraid to go for it. But, remember to, slow it down when you need to do that for you. When you're starting to feel depleted, take that time for you. Like you said today. I mean, I'm glad that you're spending part of that here, with me and Don, but you have a lot going on. And I think you should celebrate that first, but then also remember to give yourself the same leeway, cushion, and help that you're giving to everybody else, because you deserve it too.
Yeah, and you'll get there. And here's what I'd like to share with everybody. Go back 6 months ago or a year ago and what you were doing, how you were doing it, and who you were doing with on LinkedIn, and then see how you've grown, see how you've evolved. Give yourself the credit, focus on the wins, and keep reshuffling. Everybody's in the same boat. That's the key, right? So you're no different. Like Gretchen says, if it's not this, it's that. If that wasn't a problem, something else would take its place if you wanted to in your mind. And also something good could take its place, because every thought, every action either takes you closer to your goal or further away. And you got to stop yourself and saying, where is this taking me? Fast forward. If I keep thinking like this, you just got to get into the now and say, okay, let's take measure, right?
A great exercise for that is whenever you're doing that and you're feeling limited or stressed out, two words that go together so easily for a lot of people, myself included, are yeah, but, right? Yeah, but they're thieves. Ignore, but yes, and. So anytime you start to go that yeah, but route, try to pivot and do a yes, and. Yeah, but what if yes, and if it immediately gives you visibility into an option that you might not have thought about, and when you're thinking about, this thing that you would prefer not to happen or just flat out don't want to happen, think about 3 options for it. How could it be different? 1, 2, and 3. Just think about 3 different things that will immediately change the way your brain is thinking about it and get you into a positive sort of frame of mind to sort of think, well, maybe one of those could be a little bit better, whatever it is. That is also a really helpful exercise. I've done it for a long time, and I think it's really, really helpful. The yeah, but, yes, and that one is tricky because yeah, but is so ingrained in a lot of us. But if you try it and then just make a habit of it, even stick a sticky note in your wallet or on your monitor or whatever, when you start to have those thoughts about, those limiting thoughts that we all have, try to do a reframe. I know some people used to do that rubber band on the wrist when they would have like a thought they didn't want, and do that. And okay, that's cute, but I would never remember to do it. Probably would be right there. But in your mind, when you do it, and that habituation of thought basically at some point becomes your thoughts. So you will train yourself to move into the yes and realm over the yeah buts, and it doesn't take long.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. There's a saying: if you have a big enough why, you'll figure out the how to.
Yep.
Right. And if you realize you're not in this alone, a lot of things I do is to help other people, and that makes me want to do it. And I know there's people that depend on me for things I can only bring them. And the healthier I am, the happier I am, the healthier and happier they are for it. And so there's more than you. When it's you, it's so easy to be judgmental. But when you know how you impact so many people, how much talent you have, how much value you have. And that's why if you just focus on providing it instead of monetizing it, instead of creating transactions, you don't want to be a new person every day with a new project. You want to get a few quality people, and you can ride this dream. And the dream to me, and it's been achieved in the past a few times, is time and financial freedom. Just think what you could do with that. How everything and everybody around you would change if you had things just coming to you based on the hard work and the right work that you do. Allegra's here. Great to see you, Allegra. Allegra was such an important part of yesterday's discussion.
She was giving some knowledge yesterday. She really was. Yeah.
Well, and the beauty of it is that we had Allegra and Maria and another person or two, right? And there were 3 or 4 really cool interactions taking place. And today we have like Paul and 2 other people or 3 people who are exchanging things. So you never know who's going to be on the dance floor, right? You know,
go ahead, I was just going to say, Allegra said she had a frozen shoulder. I am not like physical whatever, but I've had a lot of physical like knee surgery and whatnot. If you have a TENS unit, that can help just sort of get a little bit of movement back. It's also really great for pain relief. When I had my knee surgery a few years ago, the TENS unit was one of the best things that came out of that in terms of there's no, obviously it's medicine-free pain relief, and it does work. So maybe that, I don't know.
Well, we try. Poonam's here. Poonam's here every day. Thank you so much. Poonam's so respectful and thoughtful. And I do try to share with everybody that a profile picture really makes a difference.
It does.
And because that could be the qualifier. So for everybody out there, Paul has something to say about shiny objects syndrome, massive killer.
It is.
Well, you know why? Because people start and when they start, it's exciting. When they get into it, it's kind of hard work. So then they look at something else that's more exciting and they start and they go through that whole process. Allegra loves that dance floor. Well, it's waiting for people to dance on it. I was always thinking about maybe calling this program LinkedIn's Got Talent, right? and just promoting, and which we're doing, right? Because what everybody's doing, like Allegra here, is doing it out of the goodness of their heart with no expectation of return. And that shows you their heart and their intention to start with. And that's the great foundation you want to build on, because like we talked about the other day, are you building on rock or sand? And we talked about recognizing people. And Tara Gooch's big insight that she heard was, don't follow a parked car, and that's so important. Oh, well, I'm not Poonam's boss, and I'm happy with Poonam calling me Don, so it's not something that's expected, but I know it's a form of respect and appreciation, and that's really what this is about, is expression. Mm-hmm. What's your capability in opening, and not just saying things, but saying things that you really mean, that you really feel, because you can't hide in real time. And I think that's the most important part of this is, and here's the thing, no matter who you are, what you've done, everybody's only as good as their next thought and what comes out of their mouth, right?
Yeah.
Right? And you can change that. The next thing you say could be a whole different ballgame. Gretchen?
Yeah, no. Well, I was going to laugh at. I was laughing at what you're saying about real time. You can't hide it, because I think I mentioned to you before, there's a vent right there. And every time that sucker goes off, it makes my allergies. I live in Florida, if anybody doesn't know. It sets my allergies off. Hence why I always have something to drink, because I never know when it's going to go off. It just happens. So I'm sorry if that was distracting. But, what Paul had said about shiny object syndrome is really, really important, because, it goes back to, for me, it kind of calls up that, the restless saboteur. We all have the 9 co-saboteurs along with the judge, and the restless one, where we're like, okay, there's this, but then there's that, but then there's that. And then, instead of having that plan and sticking to a plan to get us there. And, and again, that sounds like dry white toast, like, oh, it's not very exciting, but a plan can help make excitement possible. That's where those pivots and those other things, when things kind of drop from the sky in our days, I call that uh-oh time, right? When we get that uh-oh time, that's things that we didn't expect to happen, but they did. Now we have to incorporate that into our day. and plan for it, when you have an overarching vision for it, which sometimes a plan can just be your vision, then it's much easier for you to stay on course and hit that goal that you ultimately want to do. So I love that Paul mentioned that too. Yeah, because I think it's so important for everybody, not just entrepreneurs, but for everybody. Yeah.
Well, and all these comments and all these insights and interactions have really stimulated a lot of thoughts, a lot of insights of my own, because it molds the conversation going forward. You know,
Yeah.
Paul's just full of positive analogies. People always think the grass is greener, but the grass gets greener when you water it.
Boom.
So true.
Yes.
And it's just like that old motivational thing about acres of diamonds. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I'll tell you real quick, since Gretchen is, I wasn't going to say it, but what it is, a farmer, let's say in Arkansas or South Africa, always wanted to be a diamond miner. And he dreamed of going to far off lands and finding diamonds and being rich. And finally, he sold his farm and he took the money, went around the world, and he never found diamonds. The guy who bought it was digging for water, and 8 feet down found the biggest diamond.
I think I read that. Yeah. I think I read that. Yeah. In a book.
And it just shows you sometimes you're standing right on top of your dream, but because you think there's something better on the other side, or you don't value what you have. Go ahead.
Or you quit too soon on your goal because it's taking longer than you expected, would prefer, any of those things. And I'll take that all the way back to that patience thing when Paul brought up the living, by convenience or intentionality, that, understanding when you have that plan and that goal, like where you ultimately want to be, and understanding that, things take time. That grass is greener analogy that he just made, really, really important. You can't always know that, but yeah, when, giving up on yourself too soon, because X didn't happen when you wanted it to or expected it to, or you're comparing your journey to somebody else's. Please, please, please. I mean, I'm not above begging. Don't do that. Don't do that, because that literally hamstrings everything in your life, and your journey is yours, and it's yours to create and to make and to fulfill. What everybody else does is theirs, and I applaud them and champion them and support them, just like me and you and everybody else, but they're not the same journey.
Yeah. The only person you can control is yourself anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So focus on yourself, get yourself the best you can, and then think about helping someone else. Right. If you start thinking about everybody else's issues and not your own, if you keep spending time on things, majoring in the minors, stepping over dollars to pick up pennies, things like that, just again, reshuffle, refocus, take inventory, start where you're at with what you got and what you're thinking right now. Keep trying. That's the key. Eventually you can fail your way to the top.
Yeah. I think Allegra makes a really good point. People usually quit just before, the most likely succeed, exactly before they've had a breakthrough. Yes. Lack of belief in themselves. It's like desire, without belief in yourself, all it is wishful thinking, and that's not going to get you there. So yes, I mean, she's right. Allegra is absolutely correct.
Yeah. And I think with that, I want to thank everybody for coming today. It was a wonderful extension of yesterday, and tomorrow should extend from today. Give everybody chances to think what they want to ask next time they come here. I mean, this works. You can ask the 3 or 4, you can see it working. It's not our commentary. You can see the kind of advice from the kind of people. And, if everybody started this program a certain way, but ended in a better way on maybe multiple levels, this is like going to LinkedIn Gym, and finding a group to work out with, to share with, have fun with. There's nothing saying along the journey you can't laugh, have a good time. And, the other thing that really works is living vicariously through others, right? Applauding their success, helping them get over the hump, and having them then give you a hand. Kevin, thank you for coming. That's profound right there. Well, you see, sometimes all it takes is one. If you can get a couple takeaways, and we talked about little things done right, compounding. Take 1 or 2 ideas, 1 or 2 connections every day. Over a year, that's 700 ideas. That's 700 aligned people.
Yep.
And that's saying, what would I do with this 30 minutes or 45 minutes if I wasn't doing this? And how will I invest my next 45 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I see 3 action items right now. I see Kathleen working with Paul to get that situation corrected. You know, I see Christine taking a little break, filling up her cup. You know, I see Paul doing more video, which would be wonderful. I think everybody would love it. And hopefully Allegra can get that shoulder fixed, because she's, I mean, and also she has great advice too. So yeah, I see so many action items just from the comments, and it's so great because none of that probably would have happened, right, if they hadn't been part of this conversation. Actually, they were the conversation. We were just parroting a lot of what they were saying.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be, right? Because I already know what I know, and Gretchen knows what she knows, so we don't have to say it for us to learn it. But we do learn a lot from what everybody else has to say. And, you know, just the ability to want to hear it, to invite people to be themselves, to share who they are. And I think that's where the fear is the fear of rejection, fear of judgment, you know. And when you know everybody is everybody every day, and like I say, if it's not this, it's that. So it's really how you deal with the this and the that's. And with that said, I know, and I'm trying to make this so people who have something going on at the top of the hour can get to it. I talk forever, and I will, but I'll have to do it every day forever to do that. So thank you again. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope you take some of this motivation, entertainment, or education and, you know, change your hand. Like we said, pick a better winning hand and be here tomorrow and every day after that, and we'll continue to get each other to where we all want to be that we possibly couldn't have gotten without you all. So, okay, we're getting into praying so mind over matter. Well, that's a start, right? It's a good start. So I applaud everybody. Thank you so much, Gretchen. You want to give your happy wave? Thank you so much. And we'll talk again tomorrow. Bye.